Hi Connor, this is the first of the week's tutorials, and if we just open up our blend file from where we left off, we're still looking through camera mode. At the end of the last one we did a render through of this one, and I think at the beginning we discussed whether or not we'd use this base, and I'm just going to show you that was supposed to be the enclosure, or the beginning of the enclosure. I'm just going to pull across our reference images here. This one doesn't give us quite a good a view as the of the base of the actual enclosure area, but this one's pretty good. And what we can see here is that this enclosure, I'll just grab a pen, has got a number of sides. We've got this side here and this side here, and it's certainly not square or rectangular like we did the last one, because we got these ones here, and we're imagining that it'd be a diagonal there and then a straight all the way back up to there, and another diagonal. So we in fact have 6 sides to this particular shape, and that's also reflected when we come into the center. This also has the 6 sides with these little cut off angles here in a fence line, and it's pretty good because then we can have these stairs that are going to run down from each of these little, I don't know what you call it, sort of hexagonal cut-offs, 45-degree cut off a rectangle. Then we've got our fences here. We're going to reuse our fence from the original fence to make these ones. We'll throw in a couple of these straight line bars, and maybe get around to doing this one here, this bit here. We've also got some stands that it's going to sit up on, and another little bar going underneath over here, which all should be fairly straightforward, I think. I had a bit of a practice around with this one, and I got a fair idea where I'm going. But some of the things we're going to be doing, most of this will be just a repeat of what we've done previously in previous tutorials, maybe with a couple of little changes or a couple of little extra skills that you'll learn over time. We've also got this big fence. I didn't pay attention to the fence. I think that this fence here will be fairly straightforward. Maybe where it turns a corner just here, this could cause us some problems. But we'll work out a way to do it, and we'll see how it goes, and if it works out, good. Otherwise, we'll try something else. So let's jump back into Blender to our blend scene, and if you've just opened up the blend scene as the start file, you're going to notice that we are still in camera view. So we're still moving the view of our camera around from our original shot. And what we want to do to get out of that, because everywhere we move, doesn't seem to be anywhere we move, we're always moving our camera, we can either unlock, if this is closed, it won't be, but if it's closed, just hit the little plus sign over here. We can unlock our camera here, and that will give us freedom of movement, or we could just hit the number pad button 1, which would take us over to the other side, or 7, which would take us to the top. Anyway, so that's always introduced. Keep the camera where it is or where your shot was. If you want to move it around, that's fine, but you don't want to constantly be moving in camera view all the time, because you'll get that red square around. So we'll unlock that one, close that one up, don't need that for the moment. And let's also move the object we were making last time to a new layer. We might just go this layer right next to us here. So select one of the objects, or both, hold down shift and select the other one. You can just move one at a time, or you can move them both together. And we'll move it to the second layer over here. And I might move this base over there as well. So we'll select that one, right click, and send that over there. So we're going to look at that particular shape, 6-sided shape, but whether or not how we go about making that oh, I've got a good idea. Yep, not a problem. So let's move our cursor back to the center because we want to move in the work in the center all the time. Cursor to center and go, what should we start with? Let's start with a flat plane so that we know that our base is on the grid like we were doing last time. Let's go add, create a plane, and I think I'll press the decimal point on my keypad on the right hand side. Oh, I don't have screencast on. Let's go screencast. Every time I do this, screencast keys. Lots of add-ons in here. We're going to use a lot of these add-ons for our thing. We could put Ivy. We can put a lot of extra meshes in. If I just scroll up, oh, this is just going to be the screen ones. We can do all sorts of things in here. There's add meshes. This is when we add our landscape. We're going to use that one. These are just extra shapes, pipes and solids and regular solids. But there's a fair few of these. I use F2 over here in the mesh. I use F2 for faces. Not sure if we'll need that, and I also have inset polygon, but I'll show you how to avoid those. These aren't bad ones to play around with, these ones. If you go into user preferences and go to your add-ons and then click on mesh, you can just enable all of those, and they give you extra tools. Loop tools, for instance, is where's my loop tools? It's going to, in edit mode, we'll see loop tools. So let's go into edit mode right now. We've got our plane selected. Let's go into edit mode and tools. Yeah, see, here's tools here, and you'll see loop tools down here. Gives me all these extra options to do some stuff with faces. Anyway, so what I think we need to do first up is we need to stretch this one out so that it is the right size. We want a long rectangle, so let's go to scale and stretch out, I reckon about that. I'm just looking at proportions wise, how wide is it to how long is it. We can always scale up the entire thing when we get it into the rest of the scene to see what size we want it to be in the world, or our scene, but for the moment we're just after shape. And what I'm thinking is if we do 2 loop cuts through here, we can expand those loop cuts out, so stretch them out that way, and then we'll get more of a shape. I'm just going to show you something. Grease pencil. I'm going to go draw. What I mean is do 2 loop cuts there and there. Oh, I've lost my draw loop. My glue there, and then we will stretch out that one, and I'm not sure how I go about keeping this on, and that one, I've never used this before. I know that if I press escape it should go away, but it's not. Okay, interesting. Isn't that interesting? Makes this thing in the real world. Maybe there's somebody up here. Let me just press. Okay, sorry about that. Alright, we're back. Okay, so those 2 loop cuts, let's do those. We go into our tools panel and we'll go loop cut and slide, and there's our first cut. Let's click up and there's our second cut. So we're going to left click to put it there. We could slide it, but we want it even, so we're going to right click confirm, and there she is. Now, if I was to, and that puts us in edge mode, which is fantastic, so I'm going to right click select that edge, and right click select that edge, and scale them out that way. Okay, not exactly what I wanted, but the reason for that is I need these to be longer. So I'm going to scale that way, and now we can bring it back in. There we go. That looks pretty good for a shape. We've got our 2 diagonals, 4 diagonals here, and everything seems to be in order. So next thing we want to do is, if this is the outside, and inside we'll have our inner, what would you call it, enclosure, we shall select faces. We're going to extrude them up. So faces and shift click both of those, and I'm going to press E for extrude. Can always go over to my extrude panel. Where's extrude? Yeah, region. And I'm going to go up to about there. I'm just going to have a look at my little thing. Yeah, it's not too bad. I'll keep this off to the side so I can keep an eye on it. Every time you want to have a good look and just decide whether or not you're happy with how high up you're going, feel free to just pull that out. Okay, now if I just show you what I am looking at here, I'm looking at this rim here. Seems to be a little rim down the bottom, and then a thicker rim that is the walkway material. Looks like a concrete material, and this looks like a steel girder. So we'll put a couple of loop cuts in for those and extrude out just a tiny little bit on the edge of our thing. So this time I'm going to go Control E. No, I'll go loop cut here, but pretty soon, Control R, sorry. Control R is the shortcut. Eventually I'm going to get into doing that a lot more because it's a lot quicker than going to find the tool. But we'll do 2 loop cuts. Actually, we'll do one first up, just that one there. And this is going to be the thick walkway part. And there we have a loop cut. But of course, we want to extrude out this little face here. We just want it to poke out a little bit. The problem, of course, is we would have to go faces, and we would have to select all those faces, which isn't too much of a problem. I mean, it's fairly quick. Holding down Shift and right-clicking, and holding down Shift and right-clicking, and holding down Shift and right-clicking, and there, and there. That's not too time consuming. And I'm going to show you a little trick just at the moment. And this little trick is selecting loop cuts. So say I was to just have this one selected, and I want to select all of them around that edge. We can go down to our select here and hit edge loop. And what that does is it doesn't do what I want it to do. Let's not do that one. Let's go that one, and maybe it was edge rim. One of these ones, edge ring. Nope, not edge ring. How about this? Hold down Alt, and there we go. Okay, so what did I just do? I'm going to do that again. Oh, I don't have screencast on. Sorry. These wastes. Alright, I went Alt, right click, no, Alt, right on that edge, there. Select multi-select loops. Select. Doesn't seem to be in here. It is that though, select edge loop. And it just seems to be behaving poorly. So what I did was, I went in here, and I held down Alt on that little line there, right on the edge, the one I wanted to select. So if I do it again, I can select anything, I suppose. I'll deselect everything and go Alt there. Now the reason that grabbed all of that, I suppose, is because that's just the system that it works under. If I was to say Alt here, I would get all around there, and if I went over here, I'd get all around that way. So it sort of depends on where you hold down put your mouse and you hold down Alt, and what it selects is, yeah, it's interesting. You know, you can mess around with that, but you can always just select each one around the thing. It's just faster when you start getting in the habit of selecting edge loops to Alt, right click, select that. Anyway, so let's keep moving. We're going to extrude region, and look at that. That is messy. Look what's happening there. as we extrude, it wants to go one way or the other, and the other side, see out the back there, how it's coming forward like that, and we're not getting it to go out. So what we need to do is we need to just right click to confirm the extrude, but we're not going to move it anywhere. I'll show you what happens. That happens, so I right clicked, I let it go, and down in here we have some faces. They're sitting there, they have no size whatsoever, they're just in between that little rim, and that is a good thing because those are the top faces of our extrusion. There are two faces here and one there and one there, but the problem is, how do we get it to come out? Well, the answer is, rather than extrude and move, we need to extrude and scale. So we've done the extrude bit, we hit E, and now we've got it extruded, but it hasn't come out anywhere. It's sitting over the top of where it started. And then we're going to hit S and move her out. And that gives me my rim. So I'm gonna, that's a very, very commonly used practice when extruding to make shapes, is to just hit extrude, and then leave it sit there, right click, let it flick back to where you had started, and then scale it, because every time you hit extrude, it just assumes that you want to move, but we didn't want to move, we wanted to scale. So let's do that again. I'm going to do another, this is going to be a much smaller rim down the bottom here. I'm going to hit edge loop, I'm going to cut through there again, I'm going to move it down. This is going to be a lot smaller, so we'll go a lot thinner. There she is. We want to extrude our faces, so we select faces, and we go in there and we hold down Alt, and we right click on one of those little edges, and there we've got it selected. So now we're going to extrude, but we're going to not move it anywhere. We're going to go E to extrude. We'll just go extrude region up here, and it's wanting to do it again. Can't see it properly at this size angle, but that's what it's trying to do. We're going to right click, get rid of the move tool, and now we're going to S to scale from our center, S. I wanted this very, very small, so I'll show you something. I'm going to go about there, but I'm going to make it smaller. What's happened here? Okay, let's have a look. One of the things that's happened is over here on the right hand side, everything you do gets recorded here, your last move. Now if I selected something else, this would all disappear because we're doing something else now. But we have multiplied the size of this shape by 1.012, which means we made it 0.012 bigger. Because anything multiplied by 1 is just itself. 5 times 1 is 5. If our size, our area was 5 and we times it by 1, it would still be 5. But this little 1,2 here, this little 0.012 is what we've done. So what we can do is we can lower it a little bit. Now that's lowered it on the x-axis, so 1 just got squeezed right up. I'm not going to go that far. I think I'm going to go, instead of 0.12, I think I'll go, I don't know, what should I do? Let's go 0.9 on all of them. I'll show you a little trick. If I drag down and select all of them, and go 1.009, it does all of them at once. I can select all of them. That's a new feature in Blender. I was really happy when they put that in. Anyway, so here we are. We've done our base down the bottom. I'm going to have a quick look. I don't want to go for too long tonight. Alright, we're going to do another extrusion. Okay, we're going to get a very good view of this one because we're going to extrude up, but we're going to let it flick back. Okay, I'll show you some stuff now. Alright, so this is the face that we're going to continue moving with. Let's right click, hold down shift right click, hold down shift right click. And we are going to extrude it up, but we want to extrude it up in the middle. So what we have to do is we need to make new faces for this walkway and then extrude up. So the first thing we want to actually do is extrude up. Let's go E to extrude, move it up. Doesn't really matter how high because we can change it later. And then, actually we're not going to move it up at all. Let's go right click, leave it go. Let it flick back there, and there you'll see our little faces. We've made that little face there. We've got a little one in there. We've got a little one just on the line over here. Everywhere gets these tiny little faces, that one right there. Now, we're going to scale this in. We are going to go S to scale, mouse about here, S to scale the width of our walkway. Looks pretty good. And now we're going to, now we've got our internal place to start working for our internal enclosure. Let's go up again, E to extrude. And that's going to be about the height, I think. We can always change these later. And let's go, now we need to do it again. We're going to E to extrude, let it come back to where it started, and then we're going to scale it in the width of this protective wall fence. Our protective wall or fence is, it's not too big, it's that's there. Alright, we'll just come in a little bit, that's alright. Let's go E to extrude. Let it come back, so right click, let it flick back, and then S to scale, mouse about here, S to scale in the width of that wall. Excellent, and now let's make it disappear back into it because this is the internal of the enclosure. So we're going to E to extrude, but instead of going up, we're going down. And we'll just go down. Oh, there's our base. It's disappeared below the base. Let's not go that far. Let's stop just above the base. So there we are. Now, just as I look at it, it might be a bit wide, but I think that that's a very good start for what we're after. Now, the next thing we probably want to do is let's go and grab our... Now this is an interesting point, isn't it? At this stage, after all this shaping, we start to get into a situation where if we're not going to mirror modify it, then we're going to have to build all the stairs here, and all the stairs here, and all the stairs here, and all the stairs here. But if we put a mirror modifier on now, and just work on one stair, and mirror it on both sides of the x-axis, and both sides of the y-axis, we'll get all our stairs at once. So, let's do a loop cut straight through that way, and a loop cut straight through that way, and delete this quarter here, and this quarter here, and this quarter here. Just keep this quarter here in this area. We'll mirror that one. So, let's go loop cut. I made this menu too large. Let's pull this down a bit. And go loop cut subdivide. Yep, I'm happy with that. We want it right in the middle, so we'll just right click to confirm and loop cut subdivide the other way. Did I get that? Loop cut subdivide. Oh, what's happened there? I might have made a mistake. Yeah, loop cut subdivide, where are you? Subdivide. Oh, I subdivided that. Oh, I didn't press loop cut subdivide, I subdivided. Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. There we go. Okay, I'm going to go start again. Loop cut subdivide. That one. Loop cut. I keep saying subdivide and it's not subdivide. It's loop cut and slide because you confirm that and then you can slide it. Sorry about that. Terminology is off. Okay, now we need to delete things. So, just so we can make sure we're selecting everything, I'm going to go into top view. I'm going to hit the 7 on my number pad. And I'm going to delete this quarter and this quarter and this quarter. It doesn't really matter which quarters you delete, but I think that that's the safest bet. Or maybe I should do all positive. Maybe I should keep this one. I'll keep this one. Alright, I'm going into vertex mode. We also need to change to wireframe because I can't see the vertexes under here. If I tried to do it now, I wouldn't select vertexes underneath. So I go back to top view and just right click one, because I only want this one for the moment, and I want to keep all of those ones. Don't need to keep anything on this side, but those center ones I want to keep for the moment. So I'm going to go B for box select, hold my mouse up here to start with, well out of the way and well above, and drag a box all the way down, but not across that center line. We want to keep that center line because we're keeping those faces. If we delete those vertexes, those faces won't exist anymore either. Release that one. Oh, it's not in a wireframe. I said I had to go into wireframe. I didn't do it. Do it again. Box B. B for box select. And there's all our vertices selected. Now we're just going to hit the delete key. Delete. And I want to get rid of vertices. So half of my work is gone. Now I'm going to do the bottom. Box select, hold right down the bottom here, plenty of space to move, and that's it. We don't want to get those middle ones, we just want everything but all the vertices, and they're all down in here, so that's good. And we'll go X to delete, vertices, and now we're not left with much at all. Let's go back to solid view. Down here next to edit mode, solid view. Alright, but we're going to add a mirror modifier, and I think I might stop at this point today. So we're just redoing our base, and tomorrow we'll work on... tomorrow we might work on something a bit different. I'm going to ask you at school tomorrow what you want to do, and depending on what you say, we'll decide what tomorrow's little part of the project will be. So we're going to put that mirror modifier on. So spanner, mirror, add modifier, second column, there she is, mirror. Already we've got half of it. Now we've just mirrored. What have we done? The x-axis. Let's do the y. And there she is back again, our enclosure. But now all we have to do is work on this part just here. This is going to be the only thing we're interested in, because as we change things, everything else changes. Good. Okay, mate. Alright. Nice simple one tonight, I think. Except for that flick back with the extrude. That's really important. Learning to let it flick back and then scale your face or move your face or rotate it the way you want to go, because whenever you're extruding, the only option is to move it if you don't let it flick back. Sometimes I would extrude. I'll just save this and I'll talk for a little bit. Shift, Control, Shift, S. What will we call this? Advanced extrusions. Advanced extrusions. Yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with that. I'll save as blend file. Alright, okay, that's half an hour. Nice one. Good, got it done. I'll see you tomorrow.